All right, so we're going to start off as if you have no experience whatsoever, and if you do, that's fine. But I'm going to type in my browser scratch.mit.edu. Okay, scratch.mit.edu. Now, MIT is a university up in Massachusetts. It's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and they created Scratch for beginners to learn how to program. And the cool thing about Scratch is some of you may have only played with it as a elementary school or middle schooler, but there are adults that make a ton of games on here for kids to play. And there's also ways, thank you. There's ways that you can remix the games and create some pretty cool stuff. You can create an account up in the top right corner, but I'm not going to create an account right this second. It's important to create an account at some point because that's how all your stuff saves. Okay, so make sure at some point you create an account. I'll click on create in the top left corner. It takes me here. Now, once again, I recommend logging in. I'm actually just going to sign in. I think. Let me see if I remember my login. Okay. So if you look at this screen, the first thing that pops up, there's this tutorials pop up. It's a good way to first start off with Scratch. You can always close out of it and go back to it. It shows you some basics behind Scratch. You can click there, but we're not going to click there right now. We're just going to close out of it. Okay. So in Scratch, there's really three main locations, very similar to when we use Thunkable, right? All our blocks were on the left. We're going to drag our blocks out to the middle to use them. And then this over here on the right is my stage. And this is where I can make things happen, right? This is the final product. So imagine it's like a stage that, here at ACS, we have a stage that we use for musical performances, art performances, performing arts. But this is the stage, so it will do whatever you tell it to do. And there's a green flag up in the top corner here that makes things begin, and there's a red stop sign, which I'm sure you can figure out what that means. Now, if you look all the way on the left where all these blocks are, notice they're all color coordinated and in drawers. This is the motion drawer. So if you click on that blue paint swab there, motion, all these blocks pop up that you can use. If I click on the next one below it, looks, those are all blocks that change the way things look. Then there's sound, events, and you can drag blocks out of these drawers. Imagine that you just have a bunch of drawers, you open it up, there's something there that you want, you grab it and take it out. There's control, sensing, operators. That's where you'd have a lot of mathematical things, variables, and then you can create your own blocks, which we won't get quite into. Up in the top center here is the name of your project. You can name it whatever you want. So, I'm just going to name it. You can name it whatever you want, but I'm just going to name it example. And today is the 30th. Okay. Now, if you look at above these drawers, there are different tabs, right? There are costumes, sounds. We'll talk more about that later. Down here in the bottom left, you can click on it and there's different extensions that you can add on as well. You can create music, which at some point we will be creating music in this class. You can import text to speech capabilities, hook it up with a bunch of like engineering tools, Lego stuff. We're not going to do all that. And then down here, right here, we just have this cat. And why is that cat there? That's actually, his name is Scratch, the cat. And he's like the mascot of the Scratch programming language. And you can create multiple objects. And in Scratch, they're called sprites. I don't know why, but that's what they're called. So your list of objects and sprites will show up down here. If I wanted to delete this cat and maybe use something else, I could click the trash can button and he disappears. Okay. If I wanted to add a sprite, I click down here where it says choose a sprite. I could create my own sprite by clicking on paint and drawing something of my own. I could click here and upload one of these like really outdated looking objects. Or what I could do is I could go online and the Ravens win last night. And they needed to win last night, right? So let's say I just downloaded, I'm online right now looking at pictures of Lamar Jackson. So I'm going to go ahead and copy a picture, or sorry, save a picture of him. And then if I upload it, I now have a picture of Lamar Jackson in the background here. All right. And I can change different properties of him. Right now, it just says Sprite, like that's the name of it. I'm going to name him Lamar. Okay. I can also change his XY position, like on a coordinate plane. I have my X-axis and my Y-axis. I could change where he's at. If I want to put him right in the middle, I'd put him at 0, 0. Thanks, sir. If I wanted him to disappear and hide, I would click this eyeball right there and it hides him. And this allows him to show up. If I want him to be smaller, right now he's at 100% of the size. I could highlight that and type in 50, and now he's 50%. It also changed the direction that he's facing. If I want him to face in that direction, or I could spin him around. Okay, now this doesn't really change anything. Like this doesn't include any programming. But we're going to get into that right now. Check this out. Let's say I start Lamar Jackson right there. And if I click on events and I drag out when the green flag is clicked, that's a very common sprite that you will see, right? When the green flag is clicked. I just made it bigger by clicking on this hourglass right there. But that starts something. So when the green flag's clicked, what do we want to happen? Remember in Thunkable, we had when a button was clicked, we initialized something to happen. In this case, we're going to use when the green flag is clicked, and that's under the events drawer, in the events drawer. Then I'm going to go up to motion in the top left corner, and I'm going to drag out move 10 steps. All right. So that means if I were to click the green flag right now, he should move forward 10 steps. I'm going to click it in 3, 2, 1, go. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Ready? It looks like he moved forward 1 step, right? But in the Scratch programming language, 10 steps really just means move 10 pixels to the right. okay? Or he's facing right now to the right. So if I wanted to move him further, let's say 50 steps, it would just move him 50 pixels this way. So if I click on the green flag again, notice how he moved. All right. Let's say I pull out turn right 15 degrees. Maybe I'll turn that to turn right 90 degrees. And I make sure to drag it and make sure it clicks in there. If it doesn't click in, then it's not a part of that event. So now, if I click on the green flag, it moved forward 50 steps, turn 90 degrees. Clicked it again and again and again. Maybe I'll make him move forward 100 steps and go. Okay. Ultimately, when he turns 90 degrees like that, though, he's going to just be moving on that axis. You can also make them turn the other way. If you don't like a block and you don't want it there anymore, you're like, I don't need this. I can either right click on it and click delete block, or I could just drag it off the screen and drop it right back in the drawer. Doesn't matter which one. Okay, now Lamar's facing this way over here. It says directions 180. If I want him to face back the way he was before, I would just do this. I'll just type in 90. Okay. Let's look at some of the others. Go to random position, right? Maybe we take this move 100 steps and put it back in the drawer. But when the green flag is clicked, Lamar is going to go to a random position on the screen. If I click it, it just picks a random position, right? So if I were to like make a game where you have to try and like catch Lamar, right? And he's running, you have to try and tackle him or something or click him, he'd be moving to random points throughout. I just keep on clicking the green flag and that's what makes him move, right? If it was a clicking game and I tried to, if I wanted to make it hard, maybe I make him smaller where he's only that big, and then he just randomly pops up and you try to click him, right? Let's make him back to 50% again because that's really small. I'll move him over here somewhere. But you can make him go to a random position. Now, all of these right here, we will, like, you don't have to know every single one of these blocks. You can play around with them and see what they do if you want. But really, we want to start doing some more sophisticated things. We have looks as well. So he can move to a random position. And then maybe instead of saying hello, he can say something. What was the score of the Ravens game? Weren't the Bills doing? The Bills were undefeated, right? Oh, wow. We crushed them. Happened to Josh Allen? You said Josh Allen didn't have a good game? Man, 35-10. What's that? Really? That's a good way to start the game. All right. So instead of saying hello for 2 seconds, we can say Ravens win. Okay. Check us out. If I click the green flag, he'll go to a random position and he says Ravens win. Right? And I can make him move around wherever. And then let's say I don't want that. Let's maybe I'll leave that there. There's also a think. So check the difference between say and think. I'll say, who do we play next week? So look at the difference. So if I click on the green flag, it says Ravens win, but then you see how like the thought bubble pops up. So like say it has like, if you my daughters like reading graphic novels. And you can like like the think is like bubbles and the say it looks a little different. So it says Ravens win, and then it thinks, who do we play next week? And who do the Ravens play next week? The Bengals, and then the Commanders. All right. Anyway, so let's say I want to change up Lamar's costume. Check this out. So I can click here, costumes, and let's just say I right click on this in the top right corner where it says where Lamar's picture is, and I'll click duplicate, right? I can change something about the picture, right? Maybe I'll draw a crown on his head, right? And let me see if I can fill this in. And then maybe I want to erase some of his hair here so I can put the crown on. Okay, now he has a crown on his head. Check this out. I have two costumes, right? I have Lamar without a crown, and I have Lamar with a crown. So if I go back to my code, it says next costume or switch costume. I'll click on next costume. I'll click it there, right? So it says Ravens win, and then his crown disappears. All right. So you can check the different costumes that he has. Maybe I can maybe one thing I'll do is I can switch to costume 1 whenever the green flag is clicked, and then switch to costume 2 after we win. So it looks something like this. Ravens win, and then every single time I reset it, he doesn't have the crown on, and now he does. Okay. So the way that I learned Scratch was when I was in college, actually, was I just started playing around with it, dragging and dropping things, seeing what they did. And that's really the best way to learn, is to play around with it and know that you can't really break it. Let's say I wanted to add another sprite. Since we're talking about football. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the same with most programming languages. You can kind of just, the more you play around with it, the better that you get. And then if you don't know how to do something, you can look it up online. And okay. And then check this out. I'm going to upload another picture. I'm going to upload this guy right here. He lost last night. But look, check this out. I can click on Josh. And look, Lamar has these blocks here. But look at Josh Allen. I click on Josh Allen. Where'd all his blocks go? He doesn't have any because he's a completely different sprite or a different object. So if I want to name him, right, I'm not just going to name him Jay. Name him Josh. He's the quarterback from the Bills. Okay. And then maybe I'll drag this out and I'll use this block right here where it says in events, it says when the sprite is clicked. So every time you poke him, right, he'll say, we lost by 25. Dang. We lost. Sorry if you guys are Bills fans. We lost by 25 last night. All right, check this out. So when I click the green flag, Lamar Jackson says the Ravens win. Notice he popped up right near Josh, and I click on Josh, and he says we lost by 25 last night. So every time I click on him, the code runs. Notice when I click on the screen right there, if you look in this area right here, it like highlights. I'm sorry, let me click on him. See how it highlights? Because it's activated and it says we lost by that last night. Let's say I want Lamar dancing across the screen because we won and he's happy, right? I can, maybe I'll drag this block out. If I go to control, I can pull out a loop that says forever. I want him to do something forever. Maybe I'll make him move 10 steps. And notice I put 10 steps inside forever. So once I click the green flag, he's going to say Ravens win. He's going to change his costume. And then he's just going to move forever. Ready and go. But check what happened. He ran off the screen. So we need to add some code to make sure he bounces if he hits the wall. So luckily there's this block over here on the left under motion. And it says if on edge, bounce. I'm going to drag that out and drop it there. All right. So that's probably not really nice, right? But one thing, he's going upside down, right? So what can I do about that? So if I click on direction over here in the bottom right corner, you see my mouse moving right over here. Click on direction. If I don't want him to move up and down like that, I can just click on left, right, this middle one. The one on the left moves all the way around, right? But this way he's moving left and right. And now he's stuck in this loop. The way I would stop it is I click the stop button. So I click the green flag. It says Ravens win. Puts the crown on and he's dancing. And if I click Josh Allen, he says we lost by 25 last night. And I just keep on clicking on him. It keeps reminding. All right. So there's different loops. There's that forever loop that's right there under control. But there's also like repeat. If you don't want it to go forever, you just want to repeat something a certain number of times, you can change that. You can also, we'll get into these other blocks, but what I'd recommend that you do, actually, before I leave it over to you guys, what I also want to show you, this might help. If you click on scratch in the top left corner, right? You have this, it says explore up in the top left as well. Click on explore. You can click up where it says search and look up different types of games. If I were to just type in like football, for example, there's different football games that people have made in Scratch. And let's say I click on this one. You can play the game, but also you can see inside. You can see the blocks that they use. So I can click see inside and look at all these blocks they use, right? Right? And if I click on another sprite, you can see what they use. Or check this out. If I wanted to change something in it, I could click the remix button and I could change this guy's code, right? And I'm remixing his project and making my own from it. So I'm stealing his ideas, but I'm making them better. And maybe what I'll do is instead of a football, right? I'll go to costumes. Instead of football being brown, maybe I'll make it purple. Right? So if we play the game, press A to start. And now look, the football is purple. And I'm not sure how it works. Looks like I'd gotta run away from the dot. Come on, let's go. Oh. Yeah, I gotta run away from. And touchdown. And I guess it's to see how many I can score within 70 seconds. And if he catches me, look at that. Broke away. Touchdown. So some guy made that. All right. Or girl. But you can, if you click in the explore section, you can type in anything, and I'm sure someone's made a game of it before. If you type in Pac-Man, if you type in Minecraft, type in anything, really anything, someone's made a game. And you can just search through, there's hundreds of thousands of games in here, probably, if not in tens of thousands. So, explore, take a look, play around a little bit. If you want to go to the create section, you can, and try piecing the blocks together.